Alex being with MMA Mania, I'm here at Abdul Kareem Al Selwady. He's coming off a UFC contract winning performance against George Hardwick on week 2 of Dana White's Contender Series. Abdul, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. Just soaked it all in and went right back to work.
Yeah, I mean it's been just about a week. I mean, it's been a week now that you've had some time to reflect on your performance, get home. How do you feel about it?
Man, I feel great. I'm really happy and actually proud of myself for executing a really hard game plan, a really detailed game plan. And it was not easy. I was given very specific instructions. I watched his tape more than I've watched any of my opponents ever because I knew I was fighting a guy that's not only strong physically, but that's very smart and uses his mind and studies his opponents and talks so much about studying his opponents. So it was almost like, well, if you're gonna do it, I'm gonna do it too, Yeah, kind of like that. Like I watch my opponents as soon as I get the fight contract just to kind of get an idea how this camp is gonna go or what I'm gonna do in that. And I usually don't watch for the whole camp until like the last 10 days. When I'm running and I'm like bored on the treadmill, I'm just trying to really get in my thoughts, put all the work that I put in together into like the puzzle pieces, put them together. Because for me, I never really train a whole fight camp for one person. I do my whole training camp doing everything, and then in the end, I usually just put the strategy together. This one, there was just a lot of watching tape and a lot of training, and I almost felt like I memorized or understood what he was gonna do. Like so much like what he was gonna do. I would like have my teammates hit me with the body shots, hit me with the calf kicks, or at least try to hit me with them. Like, drill, drill, drill. Like I would wake up in the middle of the night from like dreams of like blocking body punches and hitting back. It was everything to me. So I felt like when I was in the cage, everything was just happening because I've seen it so many times. So yeah, I was really proud that you execute a game plan to the T, and it's gonna surprise everyone, and that's what it did.
It was a phenomenal performance. You outstruck the striker, and you didn't even use one of your best assets, your wrestling, which is scary, right? Like that's what people didn't even get to see, that aspect of your game, man. So first of all, like were you surprised that you outstruck him? And also who were your main training partners that camp?
So I wasn't surprised because like I changed my strategy for the fight the last 10 days before the fight, kind of like with the idea of it, but then specifically of what we're going to do, like 3 days before the fight is when we actually put it together. Like literally, I was wrestling the whole fight camp, sharpening my wrestling skills. The guy knows I'm going to wrestle. We know he's going to strike. That's that. I'm still going to wrestle. And he's still going to strike. And then just 10 days before the fight, like my sparring partners were like Sada Wad, Victor Martinez, this other wrestler guy that we have, EJ Elijah Johns, like Damon Jackson. So I was wrestling with some really good wrestlers to a point where they just knew when I was going to shoot for takedowns. They knew what my exact game plan was. So it reached a point where I just couldn't really take them down anymore, or I'd get tired trying to take them down. So that frustrated me. So what I started to do is like fake my takedowns and then like strike with them because they already knew I was going for takedowns. And because they all knew I was going for takedowns, I just kept beating them on the feet. And then, I got headbutt once really bad. I'll send you pictures. I don't know if you could tell, or the fight day you could tell on TV, it showed a lot. There was like a big bump. That's why fight week I was wearing a cap, but on Wayne's Day you don't wear a cap. I had a huge goose egg on my head from my last sparring session, which was exactly 15 days before the fight, and it would not go down. And And for like the whole 10 days, even if I would do jujitsu, even if I would do cage wrestling, if I would do it, if there was anything that would touch my head, it would hurt and it would go back to inflame. It was like those Tom and Jerry bumps. And once you see a picture, you'll understand. It wasn't like a circle. It was like literally like so sharp of like just how pointy it was. It was messed up. And I was like I was pressing it all day with the end swell every day. It sucked. So at that point, I was like, man, you know what? Let me switch it all up to striking. You know, my opponent said, Abdul, he's a good fighter and stuff, but he's a basic guy. He's a boxer wrestler. He's someone that you prepare for from the first day you go into the gym. He doesn't have really anything special. It's not like he's some southpaw karate guy. And when he said that, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna look at my fights real quick because you're watching them, and I'm gonna make sure you see a total different person. I'm gonna be a southpaw karate guy. You know what I mean? Because he said it's not like he's some like, and he tries to be funny in his words. Like it's not like he's some, whatever, like something scary, right? Like it's not like he's some southpaw karate guy, and his words like someone that you can't predict what he's gonna do. I'm very predictable. And I was like, you know what? Thank you for that. Like, by the way, a lot of that stuff, if he didn't post half the stuff he posts, he probably wouldn't given me inspiration for half the stuff that I did. You know what I mean? Like he says so many things that were like keywords for me. Like he would say things and I'd be like trying to study, trying to look for stuff. And then he would say it like during his own breakdowns. I'd be like, oh, that's right. That is why he did that, this, that. So like, my very respectful advice to him is like post your stuff after the fight, bro. Like before the fight, like, like you're literally telling the guy, what you're thinking, what you're saying, and all that, and whatever. I mean, but yeah, I did kind of change the game plan last minute to kind of, feint and fake and then attack. And then the rest, because I knew the wrestling was there any time of the day. And I knew he was so worried about the wrestling that I could keep striking him. And as soon as he would stop feigning or falling for the feints, as soon as he would stop taking my bluff for the takedown and he goes and strikes, that's when I'm going to take him down. But he never took my bluff. He kept falling for the takedowns, feints. So that's why I kept striking.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So obviously George Hardwick had a lot of hype going into the fight, and you already know MMA fans, people calling him a fraud, people saying he sucks. Do you
Yeah.
think that's disrespectful not only to him but also disrespectful to you because of that performance?
Bro, I said that. I said that a million times before the fight. I said that a million times before the fight. Every time someone would send me an article saying how good he is, every time someone sent me an article that I was going to get knocked out in the first or second round, every time they were hyping this guy, I said, look, guys, just don't forget when I beat him, don't forget any of this. Don't go ahead and say, oh, well, he wasn't that good. I said everything. I was like, don't go ahead and say, oh, well, he's from Europe and they gave him cans over there. No, he knocked out legit guys, right? Cool. He beat legit guys, right? He defended the belt 3 times, right? Okay. Keep that same energy because when I beat him, I'm going to make it look easy. And you're going to say, oh, well, he sucks. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, days after the fight, when I was finally able to like settle in, I was like, let me look at some comments, like, let me just look at Twitter. Half the comments were, get the guy off this mic, he talks so much. And the other half, and the other half of the comments were, oh, this guy's a fraud, just got fraud checked. Oh, he's not good. Like nothing really about me, but it's all disrespectful to him. And that pissed me off because like he's such a good guy. He's such a legit guy. Like George is one of those guys that I might in the future, if I'm fighting someone, I'll send him his video and be like, yo, hey man, can you break down this guy? You're good at breakdowns. Can you break down my opponent? Like he's one of those guys that's very smart and he knows what he's doing. I had to get him by the element of surprise. People are used to me winning my fights with my physical, like, my cardio and my strength and just that out harding people. But this is a fight that I won with my mind. It was really a chess match.
Um, and then I asked you the night you got your contract, but just kind of put into words, you know, you've been working at this dream for so fucking long. You felt like you should have been in the UFC years ago, right? But you got denied. You had to wait. You had to wait. You had to go fight some more. You were the best unkept secret in Fortis. So like now that you have your UFC contract, now that you fucking earned your contract with blood, sweat, and tears. How does it feel that you're a UFC fighter?
Man, it feels good, and I believe like in God's timing that I've been through everything that I have to be ready for this moment. But all I ask is that, okay, I felt like I was delayed all those years. Now that I'm in the UFC, I want to make up for those years that I wasn't in the UFC, man. The only year I've ever fought 3 fights in my life, 3 fights in a year, was my first year of MMA in 2012. In 2012 to 2013, I fought 3 fights. After that, it's either 2 or 1 fight a year, mix in some injuries, throw in some COVID, throw in some of that. So I'm ready to get back and like make up for those years. Give me 3, 4 fights a year, starting with UFC Abu Dhabi. Let's go. I forgot to say this. I don't know why I forgot to say this the day of the fight because of just how focused I was on the fight, and I really blocked all that information out of my head so I don't think about it. But I have friends that booked their tickets to Abu Dhabi since I signed my contender contract in May. Like they showed me their tickets. They're like, by the way, we bought our tickets to Abu Dhabi. They're in the dates of the UFC event. And as soon as they're gonna post the UFC Abu Dhabi tickets, we're gonna buy tickets to come watch you. And I was like, my contender fight is still in 2 months. And we're talking about a long way. I gotta make it to the fight and not get injured. I gotta beat this guy in such an extraordinary way to earn the contract. And then they have to put me on the card. Like there's like so many things on the way. And they're like, yeah, we know all that, but we believe in you. You got this. I'm like, okay. So yeah, I mean, I'd love to fight in UFC Abu Dhabi, and just keep it going from there.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of like, let's kind of wrap a lot of this up with this. Like, you called your shot. You want Abu Dhabi. I think it's a perfect debut for you. Other than fighting in Texas, right? But like anywhere you go, it's gonna be fun. So say you got that fight in Abu Dhabi. Call your shot. Who you want to fight?
Man, honestly, like I haven't even like I'm not even thinking about the roster. I'm just thinking about the opportunity and the place. Like I honestly like look, I actually need to like look right now and start seeing who's in the lightweight division. Like I wasn't really focused on the fighters in the lightweight division. Like I was looking at the champions and looking at the top 15, you know, something you didn't even ask, but for this camp, I was watching a lot of Volkanovski going into this fight, and we kept saying Volkanovski. Then it was funny hearing the commentators and people on social media saying that looked like Volkanovski, and yeah, so I don't really like if you say names, I might recognize them. I might be like, yeah, sure, like but I don't really have beef with anyone yet. I mean, down the line, I'd like to call up Patty Pimlet, just steal his hype too. But for now, I believe in just focusing on myself and making sure that I'm ready to make some noise, no matter who it is. And I'd love to do that in front of my home crowd.
That was
Because
a
I looked at the UFC Abu Dhabi card. Sorry to cut you. But there's like 8 fights, and I feel like there's still room for another 3 or 4. I'm not sure. There's the only one lightweight fight, which is the main event. So there's no lightweights in the undercard, and none of the fighters are Middle Eastern. They're all like Dagestani or Chechen against like a Brazilian or someone else from outside. So I believe that they need to add someone local because looking at the Paris card, there's like one French guy in every fight against someone else, and that's how it should be. So I feel like Amir Albazi isn't on the card. Bilal Muhammad isn't on the card. There's that Egyptian heavyweight. I forgot his name. He's not on the card. So they need a Middle Eastern on that card, at least one or two. And I'm just hoping that they delayed filling it up for me, because I did kind of tell Sean, like back in April, when I saw him at UFC San Antonio, I was like, "Hey man, I've been waiting all these years, blah blah blah." And he's like, "Look, man, the only way to get in the UFC right now is on like 2-3 day notice or in the Contender Series." And I was like, "Yeah, for sure, I understand." And I laughed. I was like, "Well, if I fight in the first weeks of the Contender Series, win, UFC Abu Dhabi is like 2 or 3 months after that." I just said that, and he just started laughing, and we walked away. So I don't know if he ever really thought about that, but I mean, it would be cool, if I planted that seed months ago, and to see it like happen, that would be great.
And to quote you 2 interviews ago, you're not just a normal Arab.
Yeah, I'm not just a normal Middle Eastern man. I got the skill. I mean, I'm one of the first fighters in the Middle East that started MMA. I mean, in 2011, there was only a couple fighters that practiced MMA, but in 2012 is when MMA started. Watch MMA in 2012, it was like UFC in 1995. We had guys that just came from straight jiu-jitsu gyms and straight Muay Thai gyms that fought each other. I was one of the very few blessed people. Yes, I started with a Muay Thai base, but I was one of the very few blessed people that started MMA in an MMA gym in Jordan. And my skills like surpassed all of the guys that were starting off at that point. Like the only good Middle Eastern fighters at that time were the ones that fought in the Middle East but came from like Europe and France and America. And but the fighters that lived in the Middle East, they all kind of got better by the years, but still stayed, the roof of potential was not really that high. I always strive to be the best version of myself. I train with the best coaches, the best facilities in Jordan. And then when I came to the States, it was specifically came back to the States, not came to the States, because people think I'm just born and raised there. So when I came back to the States, I made sure to look for the best MMA gym and MMA coach that's going to help me reach my potential. And I wasn't looking for the most famous gym or the most famous coach. I was looking for someone that's like, that's about to break out, like someone that's about to break through, I mean, and a coach that's hungry for a win more than any other coach. I wasn't trying to go to no famous fancy gym that they're just going to throw me on the side and I could just take pictures with the famous fighters there. I wanted to be taken care of and brought up. And when I went to Fortis, there was zero fighters in the UFC. There was just Sean Spencer. I don't know if you know him. And yeah, Sean Spencer. And then after that, one after the other, all of my teammates started getting in the UFC, and I'm just like, well, me, how about me, guys? Like, hello. No, yeah. You're doing rounds today with this guy. He's got to fight. No, I mean everyone knew and they respected, and everyone would always tell me like you're supposed to be in. But hey, here we are right now, and let's go. That's all I'm focused on right now.
Finally, I want to end on this, and I'm glad that you kind of laid me up for this last question. But like, you know, you were the best unkept secret at Forest MMA. All your teammates always said this dude's the best guy in the gym. He's so good. Anybody that knew you knew how good you were. So now you're in the UFC. Who's a couple of your teammates that are so good that no one knows about yet?
I mean, no one knows about is a little hard to say, but Elijah Johns, he fights for LFA. This guy's a straight up killer. Like it pisses me off that he lost his last fight, yet he's killing everyone in the gym. Like, you know what I mean? Like it really bothers me to see, like if I see someone lose a fight and they just a little bit lazy, they look for shortcuts. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like, I mean, it sucks, but he didn't want it as bad. But when you see someone like EJ, that's just a straight up killer, and then he gets robbed like the way he did. I don't know if you saw the fight.
Yep.
He didn't tap, and they just But EJ is one of those guys. Um, you know, I mean, I'm one of the last people left. You know what I mean? I mean, you'd know them all. Like for me, I love if I want to learn and get my striking better, I'd go with Jeff. Jeff Neal is one of the best strikers in all of MMA in the UFC. I just hope his health issues get better soon. Him for me. Like I love going with Jeff for striking. Kyle Crutchmer, he's a Bellator fighter, and his wrestling, like I don't even have to talk about it about how good it is. But yeah, so he's really good. There is an up and comer right now. He's super good, like really good. His name is Nicky Six, Nicky Pitch. He's one of Kyle's guys. He's like I want to say strawweight. Watch out for him. He'll be fighting in Fury in September, I think. Or I don't know if I should have said that.
Nick Piccini.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have said that. But yeah, he'll be fighting soon.
Yeah, no, he's good. Awesome, dude. Awesome. Abdul, thank you so much for your time, man. I really appreciate it. And man, we're all looking forward to your
Of
UFC
course.
debut, Abu Dhabi. Hopefully, cross my fingers, knock on wood. If you want to thank anybody, you want to plug your social media, you want to in your sponsors, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I want to like thank everyone that supported me, with all that 5-1 underdog BS that I don't understand. But I want to thank everyone that believed in me and that knew who I was and supported me. At the end of the day, I really don't care about the betting odds. It motivates me, but still there's a special place for all you guys that supported me and you knew I was gonna win. Thank you so much. This is still the beginning. I've been fighting for 11 years professionally, and just getting that contract and getting that win almost gave me like a rebirth. Like, maybe if I lost, you know what I mean? You'd get in your head, or like, I've done this for a long time. I don't know. But right now, I really truly feel like this is just the beginning. I feel like I just won my first fight like I did in 2012. And I was just so excited to get back into the gym the next day so I could get ready for the next one. And, I'm so motivated. I'm so ready. And thank you all for supporting me and watching. Blow this video up, all right, and share it because we want to fight in UFC Abu Dhabi. Thank you, guys.